Hey there. Sorry about that. Didn't know you were just chilling right there. Well, I guess now that you're here, let's film a video. So some of you guys gave me some really good feedback on the Kyle Walker Road to Sodi video that I did. So I thought I'd make a more like historical type video, but this time we're gonna do Eric Koston. Yeah, I'm not gonna cover everything there is to know about Eric Koston, but if you guys wanna know more after watching this video, I'd highly recommend you check out the Epically Later that Vice did on Eric Koston. It's split up into like 6 segments and it takes about like an hour, but that's a way more in-depth view at Eric Koston's life and career than I'm gonna give you here. So if you guys want to check that out afterwards, I'd highly recommend it. Okay guys, let's get into it. I hope that I can earn your like today. If you appreciate these kind of videos, go ahead and like and subscribe. That just lets me know that what I'm doing is something that you guys actually value. Let's get into these video parts. Alright guys, so this first video part is the Menik Madi part that Eric Koston filmed in Thailand. So when Eric Koston was a kid, he was actually born in Thailand. Sorry, I love watching these parts. Chill little board slide to fakie. I think that's Rick Howard or Rick McCrank. I think it's Rick McCrank, one of the owners of Girl Skateboards. But so yeah, Eric Koston was actually born in Thailand. His dad was American, his mom was Thai. His dad was in the Air Force. So soon after he was born, they moved to San Bernardino, to the Air Force, like Army, the Air Force base there in San Bernardino. And then after a while, his parents split, and he stayed with his mom in San Bernardino. And growing up, he loved, he was like pretty athletic, and he found skateboarding at a pretty young age. I think he was like around like 10 years old. And what really helped his career take off is he met this guy, I think his name is Eddie Elguero. And Eddie was a professional skateboarder for this company called H Street. And so Koston would skate with him in his backyard mini ramp, and they would just film tricks together. And anyways, eventually Eddie got the hookup for him at H Street. Yeah, this is so insane. Okay, keep in mind, this video part, Menik Madi, was filmed like in the year 2000. So, like this skating today would be absolutely insane. Like if this part was released today, it would still be like an insane part. Switch front tail, down the handrail. Yeah, so heavy tricks. Nollie nose blunt, down a handrail, like, come on. Come on. Anyways, I'm getting distracted. So yeah, he met this guy Eddie Elguero. They started skating his mini ramp and filming Koston skating, and H Street had just got a bunch of guys on their team, and so they weren't sure whether or not they were gonna put Koston on. And then they finally were like, they saw footage of him and they're like, all right, we need this guy. So they got Koston, and he skated for them for a while. Then eventually things kind of got stale with the management at H Street, and so Koston ended up leaving H Street and going to a company called 101. Now 101 was a subset of World Industries. I don't know, when I was a kid, World Industries was like really big. You see their logos all over the place. They were super popular. They were a subset of that company, headed up by one of the most legendary skateboarders ever, Nadas Kopis. Nadas is known for getting up on like fire hydrants and spinning around like that. He was the first guy to ever do that, and it was just kind of like out of left field. He was a legendary skater doing stuff that other people hadn't done, kind of like in the same echelon as Koston. So at that time when Koston was on the come up and he had the opportunity to skate for 101, Nadas' company, he jumped all over it. So he skated for 101 for a while, and then eventually moved on to skate for Girl Skateboards. And he was one of the kind of the pioneers of girls. He was on like maybe not the OG team, but he was there early on. I think they tried to get him to leave 101, but he kind of was like too loyal, and he stuck by it. And then eventually they got him to switch to girl, but he was one of the like OG girl skaters, and absolutely tore it up. Look at this. Back in 2000, it's just insane to think that these tricks, like Eric Koston was definitely setting the bar for other skaters coming up. Like these tricks are so far ahead of their time, but yeah, he just, that's the legend that he is. He was doing tricks that nobody else was doing, that are just hard tricks regardless of time and era. Like this level of skating, very few people are ever going to get to this level. So this was a legendary kickflip back tail down this green rail. And epically latered Atiba Jefferson, he's a really famous photographer. He's the one shooting this photo. He's talking about that, how nobody was kickflip back tailing anything that high back then. And you see how well he did the trick, like so smooth, like he could do it every try. Eric Koston, as he grew up, he actually skated a lot of vert and then shifted into skating more street. But he could do like 540s on vert. He could do, like, he was a legit vert skater, because back then, when he was growing up, watch this, back nose blunt. Pretty sure this is the ender for Minikmati. But yeah, back then it wasn't so separated between vert and street skaters. Everybody just kind of skated everything and tried to put out clips. So in this intro sequence, it's infamous. This is the Yeah Right video part. What he's showing is that him and his buddy's car got broken into, and this guy came over here and grabbed their wallet, and he lied about it when they confronted him. And Koston was freaking out because they knew that this was the guy that did it. And anyways, this intro just became like infamous, and then freeze to the graphic. Yeah. So yeah, again, I think that first guy you saw, this guy Rick Howard or Rick McCrank, I don't know which is which. I think that's Rick McCrank. Nollie nose manual. This line is absolutely insane, by the way. It's honestly such a pleasure to like watch somebody skate at this level. Back when Koston started skating, when they were just still doing like vert and street and everything was all mixed, this style was not as good. You didn't have to land tricks as clean. And so Eric Koston was one of those first skaters to start landing things a lot more clean than they had been, and going back and redoing tricks to make them look good and not just to do them. So he was a huge pioneer for like the style of skateboarding, style and just the difficulty of tricks. So Eric Koston got on S pretty early on in his career, but S eventually, are they out of business? They're one of those shoes companies that I don't know if they're in business or not. They're not hugely popular at the moment, but he was on S for a really long time. And then finally later down the line in his career, he made the switch to Lakai. Now he switched to Lakai and put out a part with them, the fully flared part, which is one of his most legendary, like highest skill level skating that he ever put out. And he was on Lakai for only like a year and a half, and then I guess his business manager kind of unearthed some like shady things in his contract with Lakai, and it just kind of fell apart. He didn't trust the management, and so from there he left Lakai and just as a free agent, and eventually got signed by Nike and came out with his pro shoe with them, the Koston ones. And a lot of people think that Koston betrayed Lakai, that he just like jumped ship, like got on Lakai and then just jumped ship right away because Nike offered him more money. But the reality of it is that sometimes in business, people aren't as straightforward as they should be. And you see, that's a green screen ramp that got them up those stairs like that. Ooh, fakey Trey. Anyhow, so yeah, he eventually made the switch to Nike, which he said like years before he never ever would have considered moving to Nike, because, you know, they're a corporate company and they're not core. But eventually Nike won his heart over, and they just, I guess, proved to him that they were gonna back him 100%. And that appealed to him because he was looking for a shoe sponsor to carry him to the end of his career. And so when he got on Nike, he settled in, and pretty much all of his sponsors, Sean Malta mentioned this in the Epically Later, all of his sponsors, whichever sponsor he had, he like went all out for them and got really involved in the production process and the marketing process to try and give them as much value as he could. And so he really excelled with Nike, really excelled with Girl, and eventually he moved out of that phase of his career of skating. By the way, if you pay attention to this hubba is actually ginormous. I think it's in Philadelphia. It is like, I just feel like the video doesn't do it justice, but if you stop and look at it, you're like, wow, that is huge. Anyway, so as Koston phased out of the like skating part of his career, he eventually started the Barracks. I'm sure, like, if you're watching skateboarding on YouTube and you don't know who the Barracks are, like, I don't know what you're doing. You gotta go check out the Barracks. They are, in my opinion, like the #1 skateboard YouTube channel that like is out there. Anyways, he started that company with Steve Barra as a way to market selling products, skate products online, which is honestly what my like whole goal of doing YouTube is to open a like private skate park and like just produce content to like sell products, just like they've done with the Barracks. That no slide is ridiculous. Anyway, so that's one of the bigger things that he's done since he's kind of phased out of the hardcore skating part of his career. But as well, he recently, like in the last, like 5 years, started a board company. He left Girl and started a board company called Numbers. And I don't know how Numbers is doing exactly. They had Miles Silvas on their team for a while, which was like, that was a big deal to have Miles Silvas, because he's gonna go down as like one of the best skaters of all time, I'm sure. But they lost him just earlier this year. And so I'm not sure how well that company is actually doing. But look at that. Tray flip, nose blunt. Back in, what is this, 2003 is when Yeah Right was filmed? Back in 2003, we're talking tray flip, nose blunt. Like, that is way ahead of its time. And the way that he did it was like so clean, and that is like classic Koston, taking the tricks to a whole nother level and doing them with style unlike anybody else. So as of right now, Eric Koston is still sponsored by a lot of different companies. However, he's not writing and filming like he used to. But like I said, he writes for his own company, Numbers, Independent Trucks, Spitfire Wheels. He owns a company called 4-Star Clothing with another skateboarder, Guy Mariano, is another legend. And he's sponsored by Jessup Grip Tape. He's sponsored by Jessup Grip Tape, Oakley Sunglasses, and last of all, he's sponsored by Supreme Clothing. So if you know anything about like pop culture and streetwear, Supreme is at like the very top of collectible streetwear. You can buy one of their shirts retail for like 50 bucks and resell it for like 150 to 200. So to be sponsored by Supreme is a pretty big deal, and typically they stick with guys that are from the East Coast. It seems like there's very few like born and bred LA guys that are on Supreme, at least from my perception of it. He obviously means something culturally to skateboarding that he could get on a company like Supreme. This is going on a little longer than I was expecting, so as you've seen, I'm rolling a different video part. Other notable things in Eric Koston's career He's won the X Games multiple times. He's won some of the biggest contests over and over again. He's made a lot of money skating contests, as well as, you know, being in the streets and putting out video parts on a consistent basis. I think he's put out 15 video parts in his career, which is like way above what an average skater does. It seems like if you're lucky, you'll put out like 9, and he's put out like way more than that. Beyond that, the way that I discovered Eric Koston was as a kid playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. He was in the Tony Hawk Pro Skater video games. Then when EA came out with Skate, he was in those video games, Skate 1, 2, and 3. And you know that those video games are paying a pretty penny for him to be in them. So from the time he was a kid, he worked insanely hard at getting good at skating, and he was just so hyped to get an opportunity to like advance. Like when he got on H Street and then 101, like he was tripping out just to be skating with the guys that he was skating with, and so humble to not let it go to his head just how talented he actually was. And he put his head down and just kept grinding for the rest of his career, putting out so many video parts and really helping his sponsors to sell more product, which is why you get sponsored in the first place. And I think he understood that, and he really went all out for his sponsors, and I think that's part of the reason why he had such a legendary impact on the skateboarding industry, is because people were so willing to support them because of how much he gave to try and help those companies to grow. And so now he's doing his own companies, Numbers and 4-Star and the Barracks, and he's achieved a level of success that, you know, very few skateboarders achieve. We're talking like Tony Hawk and Nigel Houston, Eric Koston, Rob Dyrdek. Like these are the elite of business-minded individuals in the skateboard industry, and he deserves every dollar that he's been paid. He's worked extremely hard to be where he's at, and he's given so much to skateboarding. So Koston, if you ever watch this, you probably won't, but if you do, thank you so much for everything that you've done for inspiring me and so many others to get on a skateboard and keep pushing. So that's gonna be it for today's video, guys. Sorry if it was a little bit longer and disjointed than other videos, but I wanted to put out another video and stay consistent, putting out 3 videos a week. So check back in a couple days. If you like this kind of content, check back in a couple of days, subscribe. I'll try and keep dishing up some solid skateboarding videos for you guys. So thank you so much. Go check out that video, Epically Latered with Eric Koston. You won't regret it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.